What up and welcome to Rama Screen YouTube channel, and here's my review of Peacock's new series, Those About to Die. Let's rock this. Okay, as a history buff and as a fan of any film and TV show with any historical backdrop, I gotta say, in terms of production value, Those About to Die astounds me. From the sets to the costumes to the CGIs regarding the exciting chariot races and the violent gladiator fights and that scary white lion, this show has it all and a bag of chips. I've already watched the entire 10 episodes of this first season, and it is visually ambitious to say the least. Yes, you can describe it as Rome meets Spartacus meets Ben-Hur, but you're basically just naming every other ancient Roman dramatization of the past that had excelled. And you know what? I don't think Those About to Die would mind the comparison. Having said all that, it's the narrative telling on this show that prevents me from giving it a high rating. Well, for one, it doesn't need to have 10 episodes, and some of the episodes feel like they're just stretched for no particular reason. The power struggles are intense on some parts, but other parts they are dull and uninspiring. Luckily, they have this rule where each episode would have at least one or two competitions or one or two contests to the death or one or two kill scenes, but that's an indictment of the story's weakness in keeping us engaged. Created by Robert Rodat and executive produced by Roland Emmerich, Those About to Die is an epic drama set in the corrupt world of the spectacle-driven gladiatorial competition, exploring a side of ancient Rome never before told. The dirty business of entertaining the masses, giving the mob what they want most, blood and sport. The series introduces an ensemble of characters from all corners of the Roman Empire who collide at the explosive intersection of sports, politics, and dynasties. Starring Anthony Hopkins, Iwan Rheon, Sarah Martins, Tom Hughes, Jojo Macari, Mo Hashim, Johannes Haukur Johannesson, Gabriella Pescian, and Dimitri Leonidas. This is one of those cases where I would love to see the behind-the-scenes footage on how they pull this off, especially the chariot races. The first couple of them are visceral, as if you're riding with Scorpus on the front seat or the carriage, however you want to call it. The cinematography during those sequences are excellent. The same goes for the gladiator fights, which had one objective: aim for the kill or the most devastating blow. And so if you've come to watch the brutality, Those About to Die is satisfying on that aspect alone. Performance-wise, I think out of all of them, Johannes is the one who impresses me the most. But doing period piece roles is a niche that he has basically mastered by now. Of course, Sir Anthony Hopkins' presence on this show gives it its much-needed gravitas. And what I love about Anthony here as Emperor Vespasian is that he nails down that fatherly tough love persona. It's not over-the-top ruthless, and it's intentionally designed to clear the path for the sibling rivalry to ultimately take front and center. Some of the other characters are not really effective in my opinion, like Gabriella Pescian's character, for example, Antonia. Her purpose in the grand scheme of things is at times too ambiguous. Kwame the Lion Killer is overrated. I mean, the writers are selling him to us as this rise from slave to champion story, but it's actually Kwame's mother who has a more interesting arc, and the actress who plays her is terrific. I wouldn't be surprised if audiences are cheering for her throughout much of the story. As far as Iwan Rheon goes, I hope this show works well for him. We all remember how terrible Inhumans was, and I'm sure he's still having a hard time shedding that Ramsay Bolton image off of him. That said, I really like his character on Those About to Die. Tenex is a survivor. He's not a bad guy, but he's not a good guy either. But he likes getting his hands dirty if necessary. He kind of reminds me of Robert De Niro in Goodfellas in some ways. And Ewan embodies Tenex with such prowess and conviction. Now, what you need to keep in mind is that even though the story is based on historical events, it's only loosely based. But I do appreciate that the writers did not deviate too much away from the chronological timeline in terms of the construction of the Colosseum, the eruption of Mount Vesuvius, and the succession of power from Vespasian to Titus to Domitian, but it's the details on how they occur and the aftermath that are the tweakings and the creative licenses that happen here and there on this show. And to my point earlier, the story could have been more condensed. Sometimes it takes them forever to get the ball rolling, even though we could kind of already see where they're going with it. Episode 10 is the most eventful and the most fascinating because finally the lines between good and bad gets blurred and you feel conflicted on who to side with. Those are the gray, complicated areas that should have been consistent from start to finish, but unfortunately, they are saving it just for the very, very end. So, yeah, overall, I give Those About to Die the rating of 3.5 out of 5. I'm leaning more towards liking this show, even though it has its shortcomings. And so, for those of us who have ever wished that there was a Rome season 3, perhaps Those About to Die could feel that longing, so to speak.